Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of WP the podcast. I'm Tim Streifler, and today we are talking about 5 tips for creating effective videos. 2 days ago, episode 800, we talked about why every web designer needs a welcome video. It will help you get more clients because clients are able to see you and hear you, and they're able to feel like they know you a little better, like you a little better, and trust you a little more, and therefore they're more likely to hire you. So um, so we talked about the why. Now, today is a little more of the how and a couple of tips to help you create effective videos. Now, you do not need to be a videographer. You don't need to have a ton of fancy equipment. You can probably, in most cases, use what you already have just to follow these 5 tips to help you get the most out of it. So it's not going to be scary. It takes a little bit of prep, but it can be uh, overall a very simple process. So the first thing is more important than anything. You don't need, like I mentioned, super fancy equipment like a fancy camera. However, audio is a big deal. So you're going to want some sort of additional microphone. I love AirPods, but I do not recommend using those in your video as your microphone. Uh, Apple makes great computers, but I don't recommend using the onboard microphone to record your video. Now, I'm using a pretty fancy podcasting microphone. You don't necessarily need to go for this setup. This is a few $100s with everything. But if you buy a $100 microphone, you can buy the Blue Yeti. It's a great starter microphone. It's a USB mic, plugs right into your computer. And once you get you might have to play around a little bit with the settings. There's a few different settings and the gain and tweaking that. You can do different tests. You want it to sound how I sound now, right? You don't want to make it sound like you're like in an echo chamber or in a bathroom. And so that's the only thing about the Yeti is you have to play with the settings a little bit to get that uh, perfectly. This is a dynamic mic, and so the only option is what I have now. I can adjust the gain a little bit. And that needs to be close to the microphone. So just make sure you get that figured out with the Yeti to tweak those settings a little bit. You can watch YouTube videos to get the best settings out of it. So yeah, that is really important. Audio is important. So definitely recommend if you're going to spend any money on this setup, that's where to spend the money is on a decent microphone. Now, the next thing is lighting. Now, you don't need to get fancy lights by any means. It'll be better if you have some sort of like lights that are shining directly on you. Now, I don't know if you're watching this on the YouTube video or not, but I have above lights, but then I also have direct lights that are shining directly on me. And so when I turn them off, it doesn't look terrible, but you can see the difference. It makes a difference. So they're from Amazon. They're not super expensive, but they mount directly to the desk. I can change the settings on them with the remote to turn the brightness as well as the temperature, right? So light temperature is measured in Kelvin. And so the higher the Kelvin, the more energy and the more white the light is. Where if the temperature is warmer, it's actually lower Kelvin and it's more of like an orange. And so you can kind of find that balance. So those are really nice. I don't think if this is the first time and this is the only video you're going to create, don't recommend doing that. But if you just get some simple lights, go to Home Depot and get like my first lighting kit was like these little canned lights that would clip on, and I just clipped them onto a simple tripod and got just a normal light bulb. Then I put some cheap diffusing paper. Like the whole lighting kit was like, I don't know, $20. So you can do something like that. You can watch YouTube videos for, how to create a cheap lighting kit, something like that. Or you can just position your existing lamps that you have. That's probably or not probably, is definitely the cheapest thing. Any lamps that you have to make sure they're shining on you. So what you don't want is to have, like I have a window over here, it's to the side and doesn't have a lot of direct light, but you don't want to sit in front of a window and have the camera facing the window with light beaming in, right? If anything, turn your desk around and have the natural light shining on you, right? And then have the camera pointing at you. So that would be a way to do it with natural light. But you want to apply that same principle for any additional lighting that you're using. Is you want it to shine on you. You don't want to have light coming from behind you. Now I have some kind of lighting effects behind me. So the room itself is pretty bright. And so, but I have my uh, lights right here, the directional lights shining on my face to illuminate my face. So you want to illuminate your face mainly, not the camera, not the background. You want to illuminate you. So that's the main thing with lighting you need to be aware of. So if you have a decent microphone and you have like decent lighting, whether you're using a lighting hacked together lighting kit, actual like camera lights or natural light or anything, and it's just positioned correctly. So between the audio and the correct lighting, that's the main thing to have a decent video. The camera, you can actually use your smartphone. If you have a halfway decent smartphone that takes good quality video, you can use that. You can use a webcam, but you have to make sure the lighting is really dialed in if you're using a webcam. And so in regards to the camera, the angle is also really important. So if you're using like a laptop and the built-in webcam, well, you're going to need to prop up your laptop, put a couple books under it or something so that the camera is eye level or a little above you, almost angled down. That's going to be the most flattering and the most professional looking. You do not want an up angle shot. That doesn't make anyone look good. Even if you don't have a double chin, it's going to make it look like you have a double chin. You don't want the up angle. You want level or slightly down. So my camera is above my monitor, and so it's slightly down. Ideally, I'd like it right here at my eye level, but I have a computer screen, and that takes precedence. So, so that's the camera. The next tip is to look at the camera and smile as much as you can, right? You might feel like you're being awkward, right? But the thing is when you're on camera and you're talking, you want to be as animated as possible and be as smiley and friendly as possible, right? You don't want to overdo it, but it's going to feel like different than you normally would be talking to someone one-on-one, right? And that's the thing. And actually that leads directly into the next point, which is speak clearly, but not slowly. You want to talk faster and with more energy than you normally would. Now, I've been doing tutorials and courses and podcasts for years and years now, but there's times where if I'm not like intentionally thinking about that, and I listen later, I'm like, oh my gosh, I sound like I'm falling asleep. And I'm telling people that, hey, you need to do this and install this. And I sound really monotone. And I might, when I'm recording it, I just feel like I'm talking normally, like I would to someone in the room. But the thing is on camera or on a microphone and recording, you're always going to sound more boring than you normally would, right? Less exciting. So you need to crank it up a notch. You need to be more animated, talk louder, talk faster with more energy, smile more, because it's like the camera dials you back, right? So you have to kick it up a notch in order to not put people to sleep, right? If you think of how much content people watch on the internet, on TVs and movies, like people are used to seeing people that are really animated and exciting and stuff like that. Where if you saw someone like in a TV show in real life, one-on-one, you'd be like, that person is bonkers, right? But on the show, that's just normal. We're used to that. So unfortunately, when you're creating a little welcome video for your website, you're in a way kind of competing with that level of energy that people are used to seeing. And so you need to bring it up a notch with talking faster, talking louder, being more animated, looking at the camera, smiling more, because that's what people are used to. And you don't want to be this boring, like, hey, everyone, come hire me to build your website, right? Like people are not going to connect with that. And so you might feel a little fake, you might feel a little awkward, and that's okay. Every time I listen to my own podcast or watch a video, I'm like, oh man, I need to crank it up a notch, right? Like I sound like so dull, right? And you might be thinking I sound dull too, and I apologize. Just keep that in mind. You always want to talk faster, louder, more energetic, smile more than you're used to and comfortable with when you're on camera. So that is it for this episode, 5 tips for creating effective videos. Hopefully you found it helpful and useful. Let me know if you'd like to hear more episodes like this, because yeah, I've been doing a lot of video and stuff, and by no means am I a videographer, but I definitely have a lot more tips that if that this is something that you want to learn more about, let me know. Until tomorrow, take care. Bye-bye.